Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Michele Davis. So we're going north of the border here today. Michele is the Chief Executive Officer at MVD Consulting. They are a consultancy that engages businesses and not-for-profit organizations in achieving their strategic goals and meeting their mission through equity and justice learning and development, research, policy review, and strategic planning. We're going to really be kind of talking about that in the context of the DEI movement that has been pushing forward over the last couple of years and try to get Michele's read on where we are and if it's going in the right direction right now. Tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Absolutely. So, yeah, born and raised in Toronto, Canada, where I'm zooming in from today. Had a very non-traditional kind of path in terms of what I've done professionally. So studied at the University of Toronto. We were talking about that a little while ago. Very proud U of T alumnus. But then when I finished my undergraduate studies, I decided I needed a bit of a change. So I traveled to the Caribbean, spent 5 years living, studying, and working there, and really just loved what I was able to do, the people that I met, the organizations that I was able to work with. Then moved back to Toronto about 19 years ago and worked in a number of different sectors, including higher education, community health, legal aid, and worked in a number of different roles and responsibilities. But the desire for entrepreneurship, I say it's in my blood. My grandparents on both sides are entrepreneurs. My father has been an entrepreneur my whole life. So, I kind of decided that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to consult full-time, be able to choose my clients, choose my projects, have a lot of freedom and flexibility. So I've been working full-time in my company now just over 2 years.
That's great. And so tell me about your company, MVD Consulting. It sounds like you are working in really one of the most important areas and topics really of our time, but tell me more about what the latest is.
Yeah, so my consulting firm based here in Toronto, we work with, as you said in the intro, not-for-profit as well as small businesses, helping them to really achieve those diversity, equity, inclusion goals, but really helping them to dig in. So oftentimes organizations will approach me, they've maybe tried something, they're feeling stuck, they're not sure where to go, maybe they've been called out. And so my company is able to really listen and help people lean in. So it might be some coaching that we're able to do with leaders who are feeling unsure and uncertain. It might be doing some training with staff, with board of directors. So really taking a whole organization perspective to DEI work. It's not, those 3 people down the hall who work in that department or head of that team. The whole organization has to be behind it in order for it to be successful.
Yeah, and I really think that is one of the biggest messages that we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years of companies that were really kind of putting a veneer solution forward and really being now called out for that, right? And the expectation is to go deeper.
Yes, absolutely. And, Brent, there's a lot of pressure from whether it's clients or customers, whether it's the board, perhaps it is from investors where people want to see more. They want organizations to move boldly within the space and not take timid little steps. They really want to see bold action. So MVD Consulting, we really help organizations to do that.
Here's the hard question, Michele. Where are we? I mean, are we making progress, or what's your take on the status these days?
I think the quick answer is sort of. So in some ways we have moved forward that we can more openly discuss. We can talk about racism. We can talk about white supremacy. We don't recoil from those terms or from the conversations anymore. So in that way, there has been almost a seismic shift in that most people are open and willing to have the conversation. I think where we haven't done it as well, many organizations, is that boldness. being willing to move forward decisively, confidently, and with some courage, being able
Mm-hmm.
to, okay, we might not get it right, we might not make everyone happy, but we know this is what our staff want, particularly staff from equity deserving groups, or this is what our customers are really expecting.
Right.
So being able to move forward to make those bigger advances is really kind of the space that we're in 2023.
Yeah, no, I think that's really key. And I guess one of the things that you mentioned before is the training that you can provide for businesses and really kind of going in and making sure that it becomes kind of part of the fabric of the organization, right? I still feel sometimes organizations are looking at this like, yeah, we need to fix that. It's like it's just something they can bolt on.
So true. Often looking for a quick fix, looking for that Band-Aid, there's a wound, let's quickly dress it so we can move on. DEI needs to be part of the brand, part of the heart of the business or the organization. And it requires full commitment from the C-suite. So executives need to be the internal champions of DEI and not the director down there or the vice president or whomever is tasked with leading it. It has to come from the most senior levels who are talking about it, who are explaining the vision, as well as role modeling the expectations of the organization.
Yeah. And I'd just be curious. So you're based in Toronto. I mean, what would you say are the differences between this topic in the Canadian market versus, let's say, the US market?
That's a really great question. I often say that looking at the two different countries and how our approach to DEI, I feel that in Canada, we're kind of in the preschool of it, whereas in the US, they may be, ready to graduate from high school. So I think oftentimes in the US, it's more advanced in that you have specific staff leading DEI initiatives, maybe for the past 10, 15, or 20 years. In Canada, it might be 5 years.
Wow.
Very recent, it's very new. So we're, still learning, trying to get our bearing in many regards. But when I look to colleagues in the US, I'm always amazed at how much further along the industry is.
Wow. Well, that's interesting to hear. I mean, I also kind of just want to shift gears, I suppose, Michele, because one of the things I've been asking folks recently more and more about is kind of a simple question, but kind of a hard question too, which is what keeps you going? What gets you up in the morning and keeps you focused on this stuff?
Really, it is my clients. I am able to attract the clients who I really love working with. They are people fully committed. They've done the groundwork. They're ready to really go deeper into the work. They're not just doing the superficial types of things. So my clients really get me excited, as well as my team. We're a small but mighty team and we're growing. I'm really proud of being, an employer of choice. I want to be the leader and the manager that often I was looking for when I was an employee. So I really take it to heart, being able to do that and showing up for family and friends. And, my mom can call me in the middle of the day or we can go out for lunch because I have that flexibility being an entrepreneur.
If we were speaking to an organization that really wants to get their head around this space and they perhaps hadn't done enough to get going in it, what's your advice in terms of how to get going, how to get started?
I usually recommend doing a bit of an assessment of where they are currently. So talking with their staff, talking with volunteers, what's working, what's not working, what are the experiences? So if an organization hasn't collected that data, then I'd encourage them to do that. If they have, then I want to take a look at that. I want to start kind of unpacking it and seeing where some of the opportunities might be, as well as some of the barriers. So really starting there, but also one of the unique ways that I approach the work is that I invite people in. So it's not about blaming, naming, shaming anyone. Oh, you haven't done this yet, or you should have. It's all right. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that you're ready to get started. Let's go. It might be a little bit scary, but that's okay. That's what I'm here for. We're going to work through it together and get to where it is that you want to go.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Kind of get a sense of the landscape and then build from there.
Yes.
But here we are, Michele, we're in crazy, crazy times. It's the economy just seems to be going up and down and sideways right now. When you think about 2023, what's on the docket for you and the team at MVD Consulting, and what are your hopes for the near future?
Well, we've got a new product that we'll be launching in a few weeks. We are designing an online e-course, creating anti-racist workplaces. So we're really excited about that, being able to get to more organizations who are able to access this training, this important information. It's going to be looking, again, that whole organization approach. So from hiring and recruitment, onboarding, governance, looking at, again, the full spectrum of things that an organization needs to assess when it's looking to really push forward in its DEI work. We're also going to be expanding, so we'll be adding some new folks to the team as well, and just really just digging in and having the conversations that we need to have to really advance and move forward and achieving the goals, which is really justice for employees, justice for investors or volunteers, ensuring that everyone has safe, healthy, happy workplaces in which they can show up each day.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, I mean, firstly, congratulations on the continued expansion. I think that also speaks to the mission and to the leadership as to how you and the team are moving forward. So congrats on that. But if there are folks out there, Michele, that really want to talk with you and learn more about what MVD Consulting is offering, where's the best place to get in touch with you?
So definitely at our website, mvdconsulting.ca. We're also on all social media platforms, so on LinkedIn, Twitter, on Instagram as well. But also feel free to shoot me an email. My first name, Michele, with 2 L's, at mvdconsulting.ca. We would be really, really happy to speak with anyone who's interested in these topics and this discussion and maybe trying to figure out their next step.
Well, it's been wonderful talking with you, Michele. We've been learning about Michele Davis's business, which is MVD Consulting. It's a consultancy that engages businesses and not-for-profit organizations in achieving their strategic goals and meeting their mission through equity and justice learning and development, research, policy review, and strategic planning. And certainly, it's a space that we're going to see a lot more steps forward, one hopes. Michele, thank you so much for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ben. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
All right, bye-bye.